Jones on a give. The running lane for Harris. He's tripped up, and it is enough. First down, Patriots. And it's the winning formation, although there was no whistle, so Hayward's going to play right through it.
It totally feels different because Pittsburgh's going to be 1-1 as well, but the whole feel is totally different.
Well, the offense.
They're going to ask themselves, will the youngster give us a better opportunity to not waste this defense? That'll be asked down the road.
New England looked flat and uneasy a week ago. Not the case today.
You know, really one of those really tight ball games is going to come down to a few things, and we knew that going in. That's why you put the weight on the weighty downs or the situational moments. They made more splash plays in them circumstances than we did. I thought they won the field position game and special teams. They got a couple kickoff returns from a field positioning standpoint. Obviously, when we didn't handle the punt, that was a significant play. The 2-minute goal ball was a significant play, and sometimes when you're in games like this, that's the difference. It felt like it was today. Obviously, there was some good, there was some bad outside of those things, but I thought those were the critical, weighty things where they were able to control the game, particularly kind of in the fourth quarter as we were trying to regain control of it. I just thought they got propped up by those plays, and we didn't do what was required. We didn't make the significant chunks or move the ball well enough on offense, and obviously at the end we didn't get the necessary stop on defense. And so it's painful, but it is. It's important that we zero our focus in on this short week.
Hey, you blink, I'll cut your eyelids off. Don't you blink. I got you. Let's go.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this special early edition here of Show Blitz of the Matt Steel podcast. Well, of course, yours truly, Charles Prodigy Richey. We're here to break down the Week 2 matchup, Steelers versus New England Patriots. As the Steelers drop to the Patriots once again, 17-14. Bill Belichick now owns a commanding 9-3 career record versus Mike Tomlin right now, as Steelers are once again scratching their heads, and he did it this time without Tom Brady too. So he's also 1-1 without Tom Brady going up against Mike Tomlin. So there you heard it right there. Damon Harris, who grinded out the final first down for the game. And as you saw, the Patriots right there definitely did a phenomenal job here and closing out old school football, if you ask me. And I just felt like there was a lot of Steeler fans, Steeler Nation in particular. There's a lot of people, I think, who really underestimated Bill Belichick. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I kind of got the sense where a lot of people kept saying it was like, a winnable game, which it was. But at the same time, too, I made the analogy, Mike Tomlin versus Bill Belichick. If you watch the Dark Knight movie with Batman, it's like the Dark Knight versus Ra's al Ghul right there. One of the guys he trained under. I'm not saying Tomlin trained under him, but you get what I'm saying, though. Bill Belichick still knows all the tricks and traits to pull out. And as you saw right there, I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers right there, I think there was just a lot of things that just stood out right there. In regards to the quarterback play, and I know there's a high level of concern right now, really starting to look at, is Mitch Trubisky really the right guy going forward for this team? I mean, how much longer is he going to last right now? There's a lot of people in the Pittsburgh media, like Bob Pompiani, you have Ray Fittipaldo or whoever, or where was Joe Starkey on 937 The Fan. A lot of people were really buying into Mitch Trubisky as far as mobility, the way he could move around, and that he would be able to win the starting job in training camp and through preseason, which he did. The only thing is right now, like I said, I continue to say right now is the third down conversions, which we'll get to in just a second. Mike Tomlin, regarding Mitch Trubisky, he says he liked a lot. I've liked a lot from him. We haven't scored enough points, but that's the collective. Not just quarterback position, not just the players. All of us are responsible for bringing up the scoreboard. And like I said, Bill Belichick, I mean, when you include Tom Brady in that mix, he is 13 for versus Steelers, even when Bill Cowher was still last coaching on his way out, his last couple of years in Pittsburgh. when you think about it, from 2001 through 2006. I mean, their last meeting on their cow was, of course, 2005, which they also lost a home opener, surprise, surprise, in at the time Heinz Field. So here you go right now. I mean, the good news is everybody did lose in the division this week. So Steelers for right now, I mean, they can hang their heads high. They still are in first place in the atop the AFC North due to tiebreakers, but they do got to be very careful right now because breathing down their necks, they got the Cleveland Browns this Thursday night football. So it's a very short turnaround week right now as we look at their schedule right now for this year. I mean, going into it, because remember, it doesn't get much easier after this, but then again, you survive the competition. We'll see. Because after the Cleveland Browns games in Cleveland, they should have a much decent opponent right there who they should be able to handle, but we'll see. Against New York Jets, which will be at Acrisure Stadium. And then following there, they'll have like at least 4 consecutive winning teams, which would be a nail bar right there, too. If you think about it, they got to go on the road at Buffalo, which would be the second game in October. Then they'll have their second and final home game for October, which would be October 16th, which would be a noon kickoff versus Tom Brady and Todd Bowles' Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then they'll be having 2 straight road games. One a primetime game, which would be on Sunday Night Football versus the Miami Dolphins at Hard Rock Stadium. And then on the road versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, remember, with TJ Watt, having his partially torn pec, they said that he should be out up to 6 weeks. And as I was saying, too, I mean, when you think about it right there, I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles game will probably be the earliest he'd be available. But at the same time, too, I think realistically, if he's going to come back, remember, you got the bye week right after that game against the Eagles in Philadelphia. So if I was Steelers, I would take a little bit of extra caution right there. Play him against the New Orleans Saints, depending where he is, because I don't think the defense did that bad. Clearly, the biggest thing that really stood out was, once again, they had their sack streak stopped again, which started last year versus Tennessee Titans. And there you have it right there. So it's really right now where I looked at this game. I felt like the defense played collectively decent. I mean, to be honest, Joe. I mean, when you really look at it this time around, I mean, let's look at the game summary real quick. I mean, this time around, the Steelers versus the New England Patriots for total yards, they only gave up 376 yards in this game versus the Patriots. And you look at it in comparison week earlier versus the Bengals on the road in Cincinnati for that one. That game right there versus the Bengals, they gave up 432 yards right there. So you had at least like 56 yards less, pretty much. The only problem is, once again, that stood out was the run defense, stopping the run and the lack of running the ball on the offense, and which really is alarming right now because you look at a guy like Trubisky. I mean, of course, he can be like one of the top premier quarterbacks in today's game, where it's necessarily like a Patrick Mahomes, a Tom Brady, Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, any of those guys. I mean, we're not expecting them to do that. We're asking them not to lose the game, of course. But at the same time, too, I think the biggest thing where I get very disappointed, once again, is the lack of a running game. And which we'll hit on in a second here. But, I mean, you look at the totality in this game as far as the running game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, once again, did not really show up that much. Only 22 yards. In this game, they only had, for running the ball in this game, 22 carries for 91 yards. Last week, they had 22 carries for 75 yards, while the Patriots finished out the day 31 for 124 yards. And that's 9 less yards they gave up last week. But still, I mean, last week they got outgained by 58 yards on the ground, 133 to 75. And then this week, 124-91. I mean, that is problematic right there. I mean, let's be honest. You cannot be winning that many football games right there and expect to be in contention like that. I'm sorry. I mean, you wonder why Mike Tomlin might possibly have his first losing season is because of stuff like that. I mean, or just say, like status quo, which is not having another losing season, maybe still competing for the playoffs. I'm not sure. I mean, competing for the playoffs right now will just be another, like, a big pat on the back and a reward. I mean, something noticeable to accomplish. And of course, they didn't score enough points. And here, one of the telling tales of the tape too. On 9 drives, they only scored 3. So there were 3 for 9 on scoring drives, which included a field goal and 2 touchdowns, while going 1 for 2 in the red zone, which was also in the red zone. They only had 1 field goal and a touchdown plus a 2-point conversion. So the red zone was only a touchdown plus 2 points, so 8 points right there. So that's where the 1 score came in the red zone. The offense did start off solid right here. Now, like as I was mentioning a few moments ago, 3rd downs too in the first half, 7 for 11 for 64%. I mean, so they started out, I thought the first half they started out pretty decently. I mean, when you look at this game right here, I mean, now Trubisky, I feel like had a better first half as far as like converting 3rd downs. I mean, he was 4 for 8, going 50%. Okay, and then the second half, he went 1 for 4 for 25. So for 3rd down conversions in the first half, including running the ball, right there, they were 7-11 for 64%, and then the rest of the way they went 1 for 4 to go 8 of 15. That's how you're going to continue to lose football games. That was one of my keys to the game right here, was converting the 3rd downs. I mean, you look at the Patriots too. I mean, in comparison right there, I mean, where it got a little difference right there. So 1 for 4 in the second half. Patriots went 5 of 10, 50% in the second half. And it was mainly because of the running attack right there. They were 3 of 4. Steelers in the second half did not attempt any running plays for 3rd down conversions. 0 for 0. You cannot have that. That's the biggest reason, I think one of the biggest sticking points too. And then the fact too that Mac Jones did a good job getting the ball off his hands quicker. They could not sack the quarterback right there. And we look at the rest of the players on this team. We look at defense. You look at Malik Reed, who they got from Denver right here. Malik Reed didn't have too bad of a game. He did have a quarterback hit with 4 tackles right here in this game, which was tied for 4th on the team. So he had 2 solo plus 2 assisted, so 4 total tackles and a quarterback hit right there. And Miles Jack, I mean, I think seems for the 2nd straight week in a row seems to be holding down the fort as well. He led both teams in tackles with 13 total. So, I mean, he's doing his job. I'll be honest with you, I think he's giving like Devin Bush some competition right now, to be honest with you. I mean, of course, when you look at the defensive depth chart right now, the way it's set up at the inside linebacker position, Devin Bush is playing at the left inside linebacker position while Miles Jack is on the right-hand side. I mean, I would really start to wonder at some point, will the Steelers maybe fill in Robert Spillane for Devin Bush if he continues to struggle right now? Because Devin Bush right now, I mean, he's getting closer and closer to being an ultimate first-round bust at this point. He really is. And it's just sad. I mean, who they moved up to grab for in the draft. I mean, for a guy who started off with 109 total tackles in his first season, and of course, he didn't get injured until the Browns game, so he had like 26 at that point. He seemed to be on pace for a good year, but then he had 70 last year, which was significantly low, and only 9 tackles for 2 games right there. So he's only averaging 4.5 tackles per game. I mean, that's right now. I mean, you look at it, like his future right now, where he's gonna be able to stick around and manage to be a member of this team. It's not looking too promising right now. It really isn't. He has definitely got to find a way, go for some self-love right now. It really needs some uplifting right now. Once again, we're going over the Steelers versus Patriots. This post-game show here, early edition. right here at the Man Steel podcast. I am home for today. I got time off from work, so I was able to like sneak in the podcast. Plus, we got 2 games coming up tonight, real quickly. Just to go over real quickly. Remember, tonight's games, nothing significant for the Steelers, but maybe in the AFC. You're going to be having the first game at 7:15 p.m. Eastern time, where the Buffalo Bills will be hosting the Tennessee Titans right there. That game will be called by Steve Levy and Louis Riddick. And, of course, they're going to have Dan Orlovsky, too, who's also on NFL Live as a premier contributing consistent host on First Take, along with Laura Rutledge, too, which we seeing in this game. So that's going to be a good one right there. And then later on, you're also going to be having the nightcapper, which will be called by Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. The Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Minnesota Vikings right there. Both teams starting off the season 1-0 right here. That game, so the first game for the Titans Bills, that will be on ESPN and ESPN2. And then the second game, the Eagles versus Vikings, that will be on ABC and ESPN Plus. So if you guys are looking to stream one of the games on ESPN Plus for being a subscriber, or through the Disney bundle for Hulu, which includes ESPN Plus, you can only stream the Eagles versus Vikings. But if you do want to stream the other game too, the Titans versus Bill games, remember, just like Thursday Night Football too, you don't have to be a Prime Video subscriber, which carries for Thursday night. But for NFL Plus, if you guys want to sign up and stream all live primetime games as well as live games in your TV market and watch full and condensed replays of the game, especially watching live primetime games, you can sign up for NFL Plus for $9.99 a month right now. Or if you're not been a subscriber, remember, they should offer a free trial right there. So I just want to put that out there as a reminder. So if you do want to stream the Bills and Titans, that's an NFL Plus. If you do want to stream off ESPN Plus for tonight's game, that will be only for the Eagles and Vikings, which will be on ABC and ESPN Plus. Once again, Titans and Bills, ESPN and ESPN2, or you can stream off NFL Plus app for that game. So let's go ahead and continue to get into it right now. Like I said, the pass rush too, like I said, that was very alarming right there. I mean, you look at how the Patriots were able to bring down Mitch Trubisky 3 times right there. Matthew Judon, who I highlight as one of the keys matchups right here too, who was going into this game right there. He had 4 total tackles in this game. He had a sack, tackle for loss, and a quarterback hit. He definitely made his presence made in this game for sure. And of course, I mean, Jalen Mills too also had an interception in this game too. Jalen Mills, by the way, who got the interception off the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's see. That was in the first quarter with 1:38 remaining. And that will be it for that part. But yeah, also too, I mean, the biggest difference in this game too, another thing too, I mean, for the most part, you also had the Pittsburgh Steelers who managed to get 2 turnovers. I mean, forced 1 takeaway in this game. They only got 3 points off 1 takeaway, while the Patriots had 7 points off of 2 turnovers right here in this game. So that was another thing right here that stood out in this game. Mike Tomlin, also in regards to Devin Bush, as I was pointing out earlier, who's once again continues to struggle. He says that he wasn't able to finish the game due to a foot injury. We didn't, and also adding too, we didn't make significant chunks or move the ball well on offense. He did say they didn't take deep shots because the Patriots specialize in stopping splash plays. And full quote too, they're a group that really specializes in minimizing big plays, splash defensively. That's been their calling card. McCory's been back there in the middle of the field for a long time, so we knew that the game would be challenging from that perspective. Patriots managed to get 7 points off 2 turnovers once again. Now let's go into the play of the game right there. Unfortunately, it wasn't the play of the game for the Steelers, but you had to give it up for the Patriots right here. Gunnar Olszewski muffing the punt with 3:58 remaining in the third quarter, which was covered by the Patriots at the Steelers' 20-yard line. And large part thanks to Connor Hayward, who got in those scuffle for one of the Patriots players, earned a 10-yard unnecessary roughing play, which moved the ball from the 20-yard line to the Steelers' 10-yard line after the muff punt. The Patriots would score 3 plays later right there on that muff punt right there. And that at that point in time too, for the moment. Yeah, so this was about 3:58 remaining in the third quarter. Damian Harris would get his only touchdown of the day, which was a running touchdown, a 2-yard rushing touchdown, as Folk would kick the extra point. It was 17-6 right there. Also, too, think about this. The Steelers, who in this game, too, at the halftime, they were down by a touchdown, 10-3. They were able to manage to outscore the Patriots 11-7 in the second half. So defense, I'm not really too concerned with. I think the only thing that, need to be holding their breath with a little bit of caution is that how TJ Watt's presence is once again continues to affect his team. And if I'm not mistaken, when TJ Watt has been injured, they said that they are winless without him. As we look at, and for everything that the Steelers have done, it is definitely not a comforting sight to not have him one of the best defensive players of the year on that team. And we continue to look at, last year, without TJ Watt, they are 0-5 without TJ Watt's presence on the field. So that is really a head scratch. It almost kind of reminds me when Troy Polamalu used to get hurt too. Steelers seemed to struggle significantly when he was missing games or whatever. It took a while for them to figure that out, but yeah, that's kind of like where it is right now with TJ, and I'm really a little bit concerned right now. What they're going to be doing game plan wise, but defensively, I'm not really too worried about it. I think they could figure this out. I'm a little bit more encouraged. I think the only disappointing thing is right now, you ask yourself, Brian Flores, this is second straight week. When you think about it too, at the end of the day, and I love Brian Flores being an assistant coach on this team, but when you really put in totality for everything that's been going on, you give up 124 yards the first week, and then I think 100 the opening week right there. Remember, and he specializes being a assistant linebackers coach, senior assistant right there. So that is problematic right there. I like Brian Flores, but for right now, he's failing as far as getting improved to helping stop the run. Tom said, and then also too, regards to the muff punt, Tom did say that it included having just 10 players on the field for that play. He said players are expected to know who is supposed to be on the field in those situations, part of being a professional. Now, Josh Roundtree, who appears on 93.7 The Fan and KDKA Pittsburgh CBS, and he also writes for Triple Live. He pointed out from Next Gen stats regarding Mitch Trubisky. According to the Next Gen stats, Trubisky is 1-4 on passes over 20 yards, and he attempted just 2 10-yard passes or more over the middle, 0 for 2 in that category with an interception. He is 14 for 21 when completing passes, 6 yards at the line of scrimmage. 14-17 touchdown passes to the left side of the field, and 7 for 16 interception on passes to the right side of the field. But I think the biggest thing right there, when you look at I mean, just attempting 10-yard passes over the middle, he's over 2. If you're going to be a big bone to pick with Mitch Trubisky, I would say throwing over the middle right there, because that's where you got to open up play action right there. And I also felt, too, in this game for the Patriots, one player that stood out, Ramondre Stevenson. He had 1 carry for 5 yards in the first half, but in the second half, he did heat up. He did not score a touchdown this game, but in the second half, he had 8 carries for 42 yards alongside Damian Harris for this game. And I felt like he was definitely one. I mean, you think about that right there, too. Ramondre Stevenson, who played real good right there, who helped contribute to the run game. Now, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up right now, as we're getting ready to go into game balls. And maybe you don't want to hear it, but I'm going to go ahead and try and be fair here. Oh, real quickly, around the AFC North, too. So everybody lost in the AFC North. So, again, bad loss yesterday. Of course, I can understand. I was truly expecting it. I did bet on the Steelers to win this game in a pool with a friend of mine, but good news is so far the Bengals are now 0-2. 0-2, the defending AFC Conference champions, which, by the way, are also 0-3 in the Super Bowl. They lose to the Dallas Cowboys 17-20 at AT&T Stadium right there in Dallas right there. And people, they're starting to put into question, like, who they are right there, because you look at right there, I mean, the Bengals, who have a pretty much good team, and then you got Cooper Rush, who is now a career 2-0 as a starter. Bengals were trailing as much by 2 touchdowns in this game, 17-3 at the half. Now, they did come roaring back in the second half to outscore the Dallas Cowboys 14-3. But still, I mean, you got a little bit of question marks going on right there. And then you look at Joe Burrow, once again, taking way too many sacks. Being sacked 6 times for 34 yards. Not going to cut it right there. You're asking for a guy like this to possibly have a shortened career if they keep that up right there. You invest in money and line protection, man, that's just unforgivable right there. Also, too, the New York Jets, who actually came to Cleveland in this game. They came to play right there. Former Paul right there. I mean, Joe Flacco, who's familiar with the AFC North right there. In this game, they come from behind, trailing by 13 points with under 2 minutes to play. So they were down 17-30 in the 2-minute warning. The plays that did for the New York Jets was a 66-yard touchdown pass from Joe Flacco to wide receiver Justin Hardy. Following that, they would, of course, onside kick by Braden Mann, which was recovered by the same receiver caught through the previous touchdown at their 47-yard line. 10 plays later, Greg Zuerlein will catch a 15-yard pass from Flacco to tie and go ahead for good with the extra point attempt, 31-30. That would be your final score right there for the Jets over the Cleveland Browns. Joe Flacco passed for 307 yards, completing 26 44 passes, 4 touchdowns to 0 interceptions in that game. Jacoby Brissett only passed for 229 yards, even though the Browns did outgain 184 yards and 93 yards right there. They come from behind fashion. And speaking of which, too, come from behind fashion, Dolphins, who were trailing 28-7 at the half in Baltimore, only to outscore the Ravens 35-10 in the second half to win 42-38. Tua Tagovailoa opening up the deep ball and connecting big time with some bombs to Tariq Hill in that second half right there. 48 and 60 yards. So congratulations to the Miami Dolphins right now, who are 2-0, and you got to tip your cap to the New York Jets right now. They even up their season right now at 1-1, just like the Cleveland Browns right there. So the game ball, I'm only going to give it on defense. No one deserves it on offense, to be quite frank. But two players I'm going to give it to. I'm going to give it to inside linebacker Miles Jack, who led both teams with 13 tackles, and free safety Minkah Fitzpatrick with 6 tackles with pass deflection, and the defense's only takeaway, which was an interception. And by the way, I also want to correct an error yesterday. I said that the Patriots were 0-2 last time 22 years ago. I meant 21 years ago, so that was my fault. I take the blame on that one. That was 2001, where they went 0-2. They wanted to go on their very first Super Bowl. So once again, you guys can follow me on social media on Twitter at MassSteelCR and on Instagram at MassSteelNation. And quick turnaround. Let's see if they could get the Browns team. And there's some updates too going into this Browns game too. By the way, as we heard some injury news for guys that will not be available right now. Or that. Yeah, so according to Jake Trotter, who covers the Cleveland Browns for ESPN, defensive end Chase Winovich, he is out, according to Stefanski, and Clowney will not play Thursday versus Steelers. So big loss right there. But anyway, that's going to do it. Edition here of Show Blitz of the Mount Steel podcast of the Steelers versus Patriots pregame show. As always, leave you. Don't be trolling. Be rolling. Here we go, sirs. Here we go. Hang on. Thank you for watching the Meta Steel podcast with your host, Charles Prodigy Richey, here on YouTube. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And for all the latest Meta Steel podcast episodes, feel free to download them on Mixcloud, Anchor.fm, and SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts.